I'd like to answer not one, but two viewer questions because they're very similar. So one of them says, what traits are the top ones when looking for a good partner capable of a lasting, loving relationship? And I'm going to couple that with the person who said, how can we differentiate between expanding our wants and likes for a potential spouse versus settling? I taught a singles class frequently, but I did again recently. And in that class, I had talked to the people about knowing who is someone to marry, because a lot of people I've noticed, singles, who at least the ones who stay single in their 20s and 30s and are serious about looking for a spouse, have various reasons why they're still single. Sometimes it's fear, and sometimes it's trauma, sometimes it's really perfectionistic and your standards are too high. So one of the things I used to teach in my building healthy relationships class, and this is one thing I say to them, is it may look shallow, but you need to start out with what is a list of what you would want in a mate. And so I do this ideal mate activity. And so I want you to draw everything that you think about, because if you skip something and it looks so shallow, you might not be understanding yourself. Anyway, so the point is don't, anytime you do brainstorming, here's actually the point. Don't edit out, because that editing process will stop you from the natural flow of just, I want someone who's my height, or I want someone who's 2 inches taller than me. I want someone who's got blonde hair. I want someone who's a good athlete or a good dancer. And we do often start out with these more physical attributes. And then we go into, I want someone who's a good dad or a good Catholic. I want someone who really knows how to treat a woman, or someone who knows how to treat a man. I had once a guy wrote a woman who has nice toes and pedicures. And afterwards I was like, why? And he goes, because if she takes care of her toes, she takes care of the rest of her body. I'm like, good point. So you create this list, everything that you would have wanted. On mine, it was someone who loves God, right? And ideally, it should have said back then, someone who's Catholic. My husband's Catholic now. He wasn't Catholic then. So who knows? Maybe. Anyway, so mine would have said someone who's a devout Catholic. And then number 2 is an excellent communicator. Number 3 would have been someone who loves children, or someone who loves to laugh, funny, sense of humor, so on and so forth. Okay, I hope I got your juices going. So then you put these all down, write down everything you can think of. Then the next thing you should do is put these, I ask you to prioritize these. Take everything that's on your list and put them in priority order. This is number 1, most important, number 2, 3, 4, all the way down to 24, 25, whatever you have on your list. Now, here's the very important part that kind of answers both questions. So we're looking at what are the traits, what are the things you're attracted to. But then I always say, after you put them in order of importance, priority order, these are my top 3 traits, top 3 requirements. Someone must love his mother, must have a good family, whatever it is. Then, and here's probably the most important part, apart from the part that you've made a list in the first place, is you write a line underneath. These are my non-negotiables. Non-negotiables. So now you have a starting point. You wanted a spouse who's a virgin, or you wanted a spouse who's absolutely already Catholic, someone who, whatever it is. Now, when you date, you have something to look at, look for, to compare. And those are some of the things that on your first dates, you should be talking to the person about. Now, I do find, since I've worked with singles, that some of you guys get to be too picky. Oh, they didn't meet my criteria right away, I'm not going to date them at all. I do say give people a chance. You may find that someone is something that they don't talk about, or maybe they've never even thought about, do they or don't they want kids, and having kids is on your list. Maybe if you see all these other things, give 2, 3, 4, 5 dates a try to see, really, is this personality good? Are we laughing together? Are we noticing things about each other that weren't on the list that I actually do like? I never really would have thought, because some people say, I never really thought about the importance of a sense of humor, but man, I love this guy I'm dating. This girl, she laughs at my jokes. So do not cut someone up because they don't have everything on your list before you even date them. You might want to open up your horizons and try dating people who are, maybe they look attractive to you. They sound, you guys seem to get along well. Give it that 2, 3, 4 dates. Really now start leaning into going, look, these are the things that are most important. I can't have someone who smokes. I just can't do it. Or I need to have someone who will never have a dog. I can't have a dog. I mean, that would be me, right? And that would have cut a lot of people out, because I'm like, I can't live with a pet because they poop and they shed and they pee, and it stresses me out, whereas the rest of the world doesn't, right? Now, going deeper into these 2 questions, the one that the first person wrote, and I'm going to read it again. What traits are the top ones when looking for a good partner capable of a lasting, loving relationship? Now I'm going to tell you the things that you should look for. You should look for someone who's virtuous. I mean, I got a really good-looking husband, so I'm not saying looks aren't important, and various things, various physical things. But there's a question someone else asked about settling, right? How do I know what my likes are, my wants, for potential spouse versus settling? So in one way, you're always settling. You are never, ever, 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 ever going to get a perfect person. So you're never going to get someone who perfectly meets your needs. And if you do, I want someone who doesn't smoke. I want someone who does go to church. I want someone who is Catholic. I want someone who wants kids. By the nature of marriage and life, even if you get those things, they can change, because Satan is out there. They may not ever smoke, and they may start because of some trauma. They may practice their faith. They may go through something difficult that stops them from practicing their faith and get angry with God 10 years into your marriage, and they stop altogether. You may have someone who trying to think of some of the things I just said. Whatever, even if you think you've got this, I've got it figured out. I've got someone as close to perfect for me as possible. Those things can and will change, because Satan is out to attack marriage. So to say that again, you're always settling. It's just, what are the non-negotiables? Okay, I wanted someone who could dance. Well, my husband's got 2 left feet. I wanted someone who was a good communicator. My husband is not a good communicator. And that was very, 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 very high on my list. But then I had to realize, and it was hard, we had to work through it, he had so many other gifts and talents. I always say he's good with animals, plants, and things. He can build anything, electrical, plumbing, houses, work with any tool. And I'm the one that's the good communicator. So when 2 come together, the 2 shall be as one. The complementarity is, when it comes to communication, you need to leave it up to me. And when it comes to fixing things, we need to leave it up to him. So relationships, it's not just a cookie cutter. It's not ever, ever going to be easy. So I am going to say, I think for the most part, many of you need to lighten your criteria. You need to relax. You need to realize that things that are going to keep your marriage together, going to the question that asked about what are the traits that you should have in a relationship, you look for a virtuous man or woman. What are the virtues? Kind, temperate, chaste, prudent, just. When you look at those virtues that the person's practicing, that is an indicator that he or she, when faced with a difficulty in the marriage, is going to be more likely to be open-minded to changing it, fixing it, working on it. that he or she will be more likely to look at themselves and analyze themselves when you say, this problem you have really bothers me and I can't do it. When you look at someone who's virtuous, because a virtuous is a disposition to do the good. That's a definition of a virtue. And you have someone who seeks to be virtuous, then all the other things will fall in place. That is the key to a really good spouse. So to summarize, lighten up your standards. Let yourself date a little bit more freely with people you may not have dated before, but know what your criteria are up front. Know where your non-negotiables are. And then be open to the Holy Spirit working through the two of you. I hope this helps. I would look forward to hearing your comments, especially if you're single. God bless you. I'm Dr. Christine Bacon. Thanks for watching Breakfast with Bacon. And as always, remember to live your life sunny side up.